Yeah, hurry up. I haven't hit my steps in yet today, so I got to go for a little jog later on.
Okay. Yeah, a jog. Yeah, that'll get it done way faster, man.
Yeah,
All right, cool, man. So, Dave, you're on here with me live. I know
no
some of the
problem.
other guys may or may not show up, but if they do, cool. If not, I'll send them the replay. But today, welcome to day 4, Summer Shredding 5-day challenge. We're going to talk about the keys to winning long term with your health. Now, Dave, this may have been something we've gone over before. If not, it'll be a little bit of a refresher with some added tweaks. But the last 3 days have been a lot more tactical, man. We talked about nutrition day 1. We spoke about fitness day 2, like movement and the best ways to get the most bang for your buck with that. And then what did we talk about yesterday? Now I'm drawing a blank. Oh, yesterday we talked about the metrics and like how to track your progress throughout the journey in a way that makes sense. Today it's gonna be a little more mindset so that you guys are good like after the 5 days, and you guys are just thinking about this process the right way. So I guess with that said, Dave, like I know you showed up the day 1 live, and then the other two you may or may not have seen the replays so far. But
Dude,
I guess what's
awesome.
been oh cool, awesome. So what's been the most helpful for you, man, so far in terms of the habit stacks? Like, was it or even maybe even just a piece of information? Maybe it was the tracking your food. Maybe it was sending the pics in the group. Maybe it was hitting the step count. Like, what would you say is the most has been the most helpful for you?
Actually, looking at my step count because I really didn't have a damn clue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that was pretty cool. So my goal, I mean, I know you have us at 8 to 10.
Yeah.
I'm a little surpassed. I've surpassed that a little bit. So my goal is 20,000.
Fuck. Every day.
Keep trying.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, I do a lot of walking just for work in general. Like, shoot, I've worn a path around half the houses that I've been working on.
You said you've worn a what?
I've worn a path,
What's that? What do you mean?
like a walking path, just for
Oh,
walking through
path.
their
Oh,
yard
yeah,
around
yeah.
their house numerous times.
Okay. Oh, like
Um,
in the ground you wore a path, you mean?
yeah, yeah.
Damn.
Uh, so seeing where I'm at, like, 'cause I had no idea how many steps I was taking in a day.
Yeah.
Um, Posting my food, that's a nice little form of accountability.
Hmm.
I eat pretty much the same 3 items every day.
Yeah.
Just because I'm really focused. I have 30 more pounds to go until I have pretty much like a 12 to 14% body fat.
Hmm.
Um, and that's my goal. So my goal, or what I've been doing, is just eating the same thing constantly because I know what my matrix are on that.
Yeah. So a couple
Um,
things. Yeah, go ahead. My bad.
I try really hard not to stray away from that, but if I go if I go get the kids some ice cream and I'm gonna go eat some ice cream, I got to take a picture of that, send it to the group. I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's two reasons I don't want to do it. One, I don't want everybody to look at me and be like, this guy.
It's
But
fuck.
two, I don't want to entice anybody else to be like, oh, if he's doing it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Especially because you were like a good example. You lost 100 pounds this year, and like that's so I know guys are looking at that like, Dave's on his shit. So it's like if you're showing that, it's like what's acceptable, you know? I'm not saying eating the ice cream is inherently bad, but even Juan said the same thing. Like, I don't want to be that guy to post a cheeseburger in the group. Like
Yeah.
everybody's posting all the healthy stuff. Like, I want to be like that too. So yeah, definitely that extra layer of accountability, and even the step count, like you're saying, like just knowing where you're at gives you a target to beat. Like maybe your goal wasn't 20,000 before, maybe you're at 15,000 with how busy your job is, and now you're like, all right, I need to get that extra 5,000 to kind of move the needle. So totally get that.
One thing that has been really cool is the weight loss that I have had. I've used every single principle that you taught me
Hmm.
that I just didn't use fully when you taught it to me.
Dude, that's funny, man. Oh my God, we're gonna get it. Yeah, we're gonna get in that today because that's one of the pitfalls. Like you leave something like this, or like I know we've worked together in the past, but it's like those are the things that make us successful. It's very simple. Like we just
Yeah.
gotta not deviate from that. As tempted as we are, and that's a good segue into what we're gonna talk about today, actually. So yeah, I mean, this week, I know it's only been 3 days of trainings. This would be the fourth day. I've pretty much covered all the basic habits. Like Dave, you've worked with me before. You know what I'm about. I'm about keeping things simple. I'm not with all the fancy nonsense because that doesn't really get us anywhere in the beginning. And it's the 80-20 rule. 80% of the work is any 80% of the results going to come from 20% of the work. Like there's just the very simple things. So we know all the basic habits. The only thing we haven't talked about is water. And the reason we haven't is because I don't think that needs a whole training. Like it kind of just goes without saying, drink more water. But You guys
Drink
know
a
what to
gallon a day and you're good.
pretty much, pretty much. So we've covered all the basic habits. Just don't get cute with it. You guys know what to do. I think the hardest part for people is honestly doing it consistently. Like I was reading over everyone's forum, everyone's struggling with the diet, eating right on the weekends, everyone's struggling with consistency long term. Like maybe you're on the path for a few months, then life gets in the way, and one day off turns into months off. So that's kind of what we're dealing with here. So
Yeah.
we're going to cover the three stages of long-term transformation. I may or may not have covered this with you in the past, but so it may be a bit of a refresher, but if not, it's all good. And the pitfalls, if you guys don't learn this stuff, you're watching the replay as well, same applies, is one thing I've seen happen is shiny object syndrome. So by that, I just mean like, you know what to do because we've talked about it. And then you start to question it when you leave here because you saw a social media post online or you saw one of your buddies lost weight and he's a vegan now and he did keto and everyone's hyping up the carnivore diet. So you kind of think like, oh, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. And then you just keep switching past and then you end up moving nowhere because you're moving in too many directions. The other pitfall is boredom and just not being able to get through that. So Dave, you know this better than anyone. The fact of the matter is this process is boring. I know when we started together in the past couple of years ago, like you didn't even like working out, bro. Like getting you to go to the gym was not something you wanted to do, but eventually you kind of embraced that because you knew it was a part of the process. And it's like
I still don't like working out, but I love gains.
exactly, you got to like the results more than you hate the work.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like this process is boring, and if we can't learn to expect that and be okay with it, then we'll never get to where we want to go. At least nowhere fast. So
It'll be cleared tomorrow to start upper body again.
hell yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Hell yeah, bro. Get you. Yeah. See, now you're like looking forward to getting back into it because you weren't able to do it before.
Oh,
So
my arms got small. I don't like it.
yeah, nah, we can't have that, bro. We don't want to be skinny fat, bro. Like I know you said, like you want to lose the 30 pounds, but also build the muscle back that you lost. So that'll be great.
I
Um,
want that little V in your hips, you know?
V
That's
tape,
my
bro.
that's my goal.
There we go. So Um, so the second pitfall would be boredom, just not being able to tough it out. Like when things get boring, how do we respond? Do we feel like we need to switch course or do we need to stop altogether? Or we just think we're doing something wrong, right? And then the third pitfall would be getting discouraged when things aren't perfect. Like you may lose a pound, you may lose 2 pounds your first week, a pound the second week, a pound the third week. Then that fourth or fifth week, maybe you stall out, maybe you gain a pound, even though you're doing all the right things it's not going to be perfect and the results aren't going to be predictable all the time. But it's like how we respond to that. If we're not thinking about this process the right way, that's kind of what I see happen.
Can I put a point in here
Sure.
on the boredom? The one way I found that really helped me get past the boredom was goals.
What do you mean?
Working towards new weight goals. Like being able to, like right now, let's say I'm benching 145.
Mm,
I want to bench 160 next week.
hmm
How am I going to get there? I'm going to push through the boredom. I'm going to push through everything I know. I'm going to put some badass screaming, yelling music on,
hmm
and I'm going to get there.
Bro. Yes.
That knowing that and 2 days later I'm at 150, 155, and that shows progress,
Yeah.
and
That's
that's exciting, and that gets, for me at least, that gets rid of that, killed a lot of the boredom.
dude, did we talk about this before? Because I'm because that's literally what I tell people. I'm like, people, all right, like let's say you want to lose 30 pounds. It's like, okay, that's such a far goal from now. And it's
Yes, we
a
did talk
long-term
about it
goal. And it's like,
exactly like this.
yeah, yeah, word. Like I have this long-term goal, and it's like it's hard to be excited about that every day when the progress isn't smooth. But it's like, okay, well, the work and the process is boring, it's monotonous, it's repetitive. How can I stop being bored or deal with the boredom? And my answer to that is always like what you said, like look for little milestones within the big work. Like, all right, if I can just yeah, the workouts are the same every week, but if I could focus my efforts on like adding 5 pounds to the bar every single week, striving for that PR in the gym, maybe having a streak of days that you hit your macros perfectly, like that's the stuff you can get excited about, the work itself, and that'll keep you going sometimes instead of like the end all be all long term goal. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, that like you're saying, bro, hitting PRs in the gym definitely like a way to keep yourself motivated in the short term as you're building up to this bigger goal. I totally get you, bro. So I appreciate it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot more fun too once you can identify those small little milestones, and then you can set those as the next set of goals to get to your next big goal.
Mm-hmm.
Like this week, I need, 5 pounds off by Wednesday, but I also want to get my weight up 10 pounds on bench, and I want to get my weight up 20 pounds on press, or, what have you.
Mm-hmm. And you compound all those goals, it's going to get you closer to your end goal anyway. Like if you,
Well, it helps you with a whole lot more than just that outside of working out, You start your whole week off by winning, and then you have small little wins throughout the week just at the gym that you carry out throughout the rest of the day.
Mhm.
That was one thing I noticed. It's really helped me with my business. Just
Yeah,
those small little goals
yeah. It's like,
just at the gym. I go to the gym 4 o'clock in the morning. So my day starts off with wins.
yeah, you set the tone and like the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, man. You're doing hard things before most people wake up. You think that doesn't carry into work? Of course it does. So, yeah, man, I agree with you, bro. I mean, preach it to the choir, man. I know you know this stuff. So, this kind of these concepts that like we're going to talk about today have definitely applied to me as well. Like I started out just going through my story real quick. I was a 70-pound kid in high school. So no, I didn't have any weight loss goals. I actually had the opposite. I wanted to gain weight. I wanted to get in shape for sports. I wanted to fit my clothes better. There was just like a lot of reasons I wanted to like put on size and be super fit. And when I first started out, this is before like all the social media stuff. This is before like people in the internet fitness space really knew what they were doing. So I was kind of just like shooting in the dark, just like looking for all the answers. Tried a bunch of different programs, a bunch of different like meal plans and diets and things online. Nothing really worked for me. I mean, I would see some results, but nothing really consistent. I didn't really know what would work for me long term. And I realized the issue was my mindset, how I was thinking. I know that's like a very generic, like buzzword thing to say in the entrepreneur space, but that's really what the issue was. Like, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how to think about this process. And that kept me from finding the right solutions and things would work for me and being able to do this sustainably. So, it took me around a decade to really figure this out, to really make that transformation in terms of my body and my mind. Like, started this at 14 and probably till I was 23, 24 was like, didn't really know what I was doing 100%. And from there, obviously, things have been fine. But the reason I bring this up is because I went through all the stages I'm going to talk about with you guys today. And I wish I understood them sooner because something that took me 10 years could have took me half the time or even less, So, um, this, Dave, I'm not sure if you've ever seen this chart before, but this is just like the emotional cycle of change. This is anytime you start something new, whether it be a skill, a job, starting a business. This is a very like, oh, there we go. Juan's here. Um, yeah, let me let him in. All right. What's up, Juan? What's up, Juan? We're just going over. You hopped in at a good time. We're just getting into the emotional cycle of change, and this chart describes anything new that you're going to do, whether it's you're picking up a new skill or a new hobby, or you start a new business. Like Dave, like you probably went through this when you started your business. I know I have. When you start a fitness journey, you start anything new, you're trying to learn a language. We all go through this cycle of like our baseline and where we started, and then when we're trying to learn that skill or start that business or start that new thing, we're going to go through these stages. And as long as we know what to expect and we respond to them properly, we'll be fine. But if not, we end up spinning our wheels. So stage one, when we start anything new, is that uninformed optimism. That's all the guys you see doing crypto one year and NFTs the following year. And then they start a different online agency. It's like they're constantly switching their business. It's because they got excited about it. Maybe they heard a friend talking about it and they decide to get into it. For us in the fitness space, maybe it applies to like 3 years ago, it was 75 hard. That was kind of the thing everyone was doing. Then this
I
past year,
still haven't completed it.
yeah, yeah. Then after that, it was carnivore diet. Everybody's doing that. And you're seeing everybody on your timeline talk about that. And that's the new thing that everyone's doing. So we've got this uninformed optimism. We don't know what we don't know, but it's new and it's exciting and we want to commit to it. Then you do it for a while, and then we hit stage two, informed pessimism. We realize, like, damn, now when I go out to eat, I can't eat any carbs. I have to only eat these foods. I can't eat that. This is actually harder than I thought it was. And I'm also not where I want to be with my results. So then you start to, now that you learn that there are roadblocks, you learn that there are things about it that are difficult. It's not as like glamorous as it seems to be. Now we know that there are issues that we got to deal with, but we're not skilled enough yet to deal with them. Then you keep going down that stage, and you keep going down that path and you hit stage three, which is the valley of despair. That's like your rock bottom. This is that, damn, I've been doing this for 3 months. I'm not seeing results. This sucks. I'm just going to give up. And the problem is, most people go from stage one to two to three, and they just relive that stage one to three all over again. Because guess what? Once they realize that carnivore is not the answer, they go to the next thing, and it's stage one all over again. Okay, maybe keto, maybe carnivore didn't work. Maybe I'll do keto. Maybe I'll do clean eating. Maybe I'll do P90X. Maybe I'll do 75 hard. It's always the new thing, but the cycle never changes. It's the same behavior, just presented differently because you're doing a different diet, different challenge, different thing, right? But if we hit stage three and we realize if I just keep pushing through this point, we hit stage four, informed optimism. Now I know what could go wrong, and I know what could also go right because I've seen evidence of it working because I've been doing this long enough. Now I know how to deal with it. And then stage five, that's where you make it out on the other side. It's where you got your cool transformation. That's success and fulfillment. So, Dave, I'm sure, dude, and I'm gonna use you as an example because this is especially prevalent in the business space. You probably started a business and this fucking sucked. And hold up, let me let Jason in.
I've started many businesses and they all sucked.
Yeah, right. But all right, and I want to get your opinion on this, right? Because this cycle I think describes a lot of anybody running a new business. Wait, can you guys still see my
No, the screen's gone, but I see your face.
okay, let me share this again.
There you go.
It's like, Dave, with any new business that you've started, have you noticed that it's been the same cycle? Like, okay, this new exciting thing, and then oh, this kind of sucks. And then like, damn, I want to give up. But then it's like maybe you switch to the next business, same thing. And then when you start your final business, it's like, okay, now I know it's the same shit in a different business. I just need to push to the other side. Like, I guess what can you share about entrepreneurship that
Ah,
to
well, the more you do it, the straighter the line becomes.
hmm
Yeah, I mean, you still have the same stages. They're just a little less roller coastery, if that makes sense.
The
You know, you pretty
levels aren't
much,
as low. Yeah.
yeah, like you know what to expect. So your uninformed optimism really isn't uninformed
It's like a little
as
light.
much.
Yeah. It's like
Your informed pessimism is definitely there, but it's less pessimistic because you are as informed as you are.
mhm.
Your informed optimism that stays relatively where it's at, and your success usually is about where it's at. So
Mhm.
it stays straight and then goes up, you know, after you've done the same thing multiple times.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's that's true in every single new skill you learn.
Mhm. It's just you feel like
You know, like I'm gonna ride a bike today. Never rode a bike in my life, but I saw, you know, the BMX bikers on the X Games last week, and that's gonna be me. Uninformed optimism. Then
perfect.
I ride a bike and I run into a telephone pole. There's my informed pessimism.
Like I didn't know
You
that was
know?
possible until it happened, you know? Like
Yep.
yeah, so
But then I hit stage four and do something cool and didn't fall. And then, you know, now I have informed optimism again, and I'm up to almost there to success.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, so it's like the more you do something, you feel like the curve is a little flatter, but it's the same thing. Any skill you tried or any business you started or fitness journey, same thing.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're like, so I've opened multiple businesses in the home improvement construction industry. So they've all relatively been based around the same products, but you still have the same exact stages. They're just a little tighter together.
Mhm.
The further you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like it's funny because the insane like being in the business space and seeing people come and go, it's like we realize that all business is the same. We're still going to go through these stages, and it's like by switching business, like people may get to that rock bottom and say this is not the industry for me, and maybe that's true, but then it's like you think by switching to another business it's going to be the something different. It's the same stuff. That's like if I were to stop doing fitness coaching because this business is hard and say, hey, I'm just going to go be a realtor now. And it's like, well, damn, I still got to like find leads. I still got to like deliver value. I still have to like convert and still have to retain my customer base and things like all the same elements. And it's like thinking, getting shiny object syndrome about a new industry. And I could still hit that stage three, so like you're saying, man, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so this is kind of repetitive. It's the same stuff I said there. And then another chart I want to show you guys. This is called a situational leadership model, and it's pretty correlated to the stages that I just showed you in the emotional cycle of change. But this is like how, as a coach, I look at somebody who's in and coach them differently based on where they are in the journey. So this, I like this model and like explaining it to people because it like tells you what to expect at different parts of the journey. Like the way you feel day one is not the way you're going to feel day 60, day 90, day 120, day 365. You're going to feel differently. It ebbs and flows, and your motivation is going to ebb and flow, and you're not going to feel the same way at different parts of the journey. And therefore, you're going to need different things. You're going to need different types of support. So, D1, D just stands for developmental stage. So, like D1, that's where someone is brand new. It's their day one. They're super excited about their fitness journey. Low competence, high commitment. And the reason for that is just, all right, man, you might have gotten to rock bottom. You're like, hey, I can't fit into my old clothes. I got a wedding coming up, whatever the case is. And now I need to lose 50 pounds. You hit your rock bottom. You saw a picture of yourself that you didn't like and you're ready to do something about it. So you're high commitment because you're like fired up and motivated, but you don't know what you don't know. Low competence because you've never done this before. You haven't had a successful fitness journey. So D1 in that stage, you're going to be feeling hopeful. You're going to be optimistic. You're going to be eager and excited, curious. Again, you don't know what you don't know. At this stage, you're going to need more information. You're just going to need things like laid out for you, like clear targets, directions. Okay, this is the standard we follow. Track your food this many times a week, hit this many workouts, do this when you go to the gym. Like kind of just tell me to jump how high kind of thing, right? Boundaries, limits, feedback, really easy to understand, like concrete examples. So it's just things broken down, simple to the point where all you got to do is follow it. D2, I've noticed that'll happen, 4 to 8 weeks in maybe. It just depends on the individual. That's kind of where you've got some competence, or I'm sorry, yeah, low competence. You still don't know what you don't know, but lower commitment. So the difference there is like you're not as motivated as you were day one because maybe you're at stage two, informed pessimism. Now you know a little bit more, but you're kind of like, damn, this process isn't as easy as I thought it was. That's where like maybe you did a diet in the past and it's like smooth sailing at first, but then you may notice that in that 4 to 8 week mark, like somewhere in there, you always fall off. You always like stop doing what you're supposed to. Maybe you're overwhelmed. The results aren't happening as fast as you want them to. You're confused, frustrated, discouraged. You're inconsistent, but sometimes you're doing the right stuff. Like you're not as consistent as you were day one or on day 365, maybe you're just kind of all over the place, right? So in that stage, I think people need a little more reassurance that they're doing the right things, reassurance of their progress. Maybe they don't feel like they're making progress, but they actually are, and they need to be told that. Reassurance that it's okay to make mistakes. Like you're not going to be perfect with this journey, nor do I expect you guys to be. Um, and just more feedback. Like maybe that's where you have enough time in where you can kind of see what's going on, and you have enough context to say, okay, this is what I struggle with. That's usually the support people need at that point. And then D3 and D4, I don't want to harp on that too much because we're in the earlier stages, but D3, that's where maybe you're 6 months in at this point. Higher competence because you've been doing this long enough, variable commitment. And I think this is interesting because this is probably where you're at the point where it's like, all right, this process is kind of boring. I kind of get it. I understand it. I just work out and eat right. I know how to do those things. I've developed the skill set. But your commitment, I say, is variable because it's harder to like want to show up once you get bored. And then you're also in that weird spot where it's like, I've been doing this long enough to know what I'm doing, but I'm also not where I want to be. Like maybe you feel like for working out and eating right 6 months, you should look better than you do. You're happy with some progress, so you're not in the same pain that you were day one, so you're not as motivated, but you're also not where you want to be either. So you're kind of like, well, damn, this sucks. Like, you know what I mean? So this is where I think people need a sounding board. Like they need, when I say sounding board, I just mean like somebody listening to you, just kind of giving you feedback or letting you get letting you vent. This is where maybe you start to think for yourself more, need to be asked the right questions so that you can solve your own problems instead of being told what to do, like becoming a little more autonomous and just more responsibility, taking the lead, taking more ownership of your situation. But I think when we're at that point, that's what we need. And then D4, this is like, you're super advanced, high confidence, high commitment. Like you're feeling very confident in your fitness. You know what you're doing. You feel like you're an expert at this point. You feel very accomplished. And at this point, again, you need more this is where you probably need more variety, you need to be challenged more, maybe you need more of a leadership role. You just autonomy, like you need to learn how to do this yourself kind of thing. And I think this goes across the board, not just for fitness, but just like even you're training a new employee. Dave, I know we've spoken about um, employees that you've hired and fired over the years, and I'm sure like maybe you could relate to that as well. But with that said, what stage would you say you guys are in? Just a couple shares off of that. I don't even know if I should be showing this or this. Like, what's less confusing? So D1, very newbie. Don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm excited. D2, I've been doing this for a little while, but I'm not as excited as I was day one. D3, I know what I'm doing, but I'm not motivated because I'm seeing some results, but I'm not where I want to be. D4 is like expert. You know what I mean? I could teach a course on this stuff. Oh, I
Keep
don't.
us moving.
My bad, bro.
I put myself at D3.
hmm And why is that?
I'm not where I want to be, but I have seen enough results to have the confidence to keep pushing.
hmm
Um, I have a good schedule down. I have a good eating base down. I'm just not where I'm not at my end goal yet.
hmm
And I haven't quite figured out my next move after I hit my end goal. I need to come up with a new goal.
Okay. Oh,
And
I'm saying.
maintaining isn't necessarily a goal because I mean, like you said, it's like tattoos. It becomes addictive. You know, once you start seeing the gains, you want more,
hmm
and the
Yeah.
chicks dig
That's always a plus, man. But that's funny you say that because we're actually going to get into goals next. But yeah, before you even said anything, I agree with you. I agree with that assessment. I would have thought as well you're D3. What about you, Juan? I know she came off mute there.
No, yeah, I would say D1, right? I don't know nothing. I'm super excited, right? I got my Dave method, drinking that water 15 minutes wait, switching up the my sugar on my for the coffee, seeing what the other fellas are doing, whatnot, and adapting to adjusting to that, right?
hmm
Seeing what the pictures is and being held accountable, and so I'm all gung ho right now. You know, I'm really excited about it. Last night, you know, when we talk, I had a couple hundred steps. I walked the dog, Jedi, so I can hit that 3,000. Like I can't go to sleep. You know, let me hit my daily minimum, whatnot. So yeah, I'm just don't know what I'm doing, but I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and I think that clarity and knowing where you are can be helpful because it's like you see how you guys are in two different spots. That's how we know fitness is not a one size fits all. Like we can't just copy what the next guy's doing because you guys are in two different spots and therefore need different types of direction, different types of support, different types of programs, things like that. So, um, yeah, and it's not to, and I think it also helps keep you grounded, like so you're not beating yourself up when things are not going the way you expect them to. It's like, oh, I'm just in D2. There's nothing wrong. This is supposed to happen. That's kind of my point with explaining all this stuff. So I appreciate the share, Juan. Jason, what
it.
about you, bro? What stage would you say you're in?
Um, at the edge of D2 and D3.
I would agree with that
Um,
too. It's just from talking to you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Need a little coaching still. But I'm fairly versed in a lot of things. I don't know if it's low commitment so much as consistent commitment.
hmm
So I
Variable.
guess like I have variable commitment D3 in that side.
hmm
But the competence is where I'm lacking. I need more education on that.
hmm hmm
Well, and obviously variable commitment, but
hmm Yeah. I think, yo, dude, you nailed that. I think you're like teetering D2, D3, right? But you see how you're showing some signs of this and some signs of that, like makes sense. Um, yeah, dude, I appreciate the share. And it's funny, like I guess from talking to you, I would have said the same thing. Like, yeah, you're probably somewhere in that D2, D3 range. So yeah, good awareness on that. Yeah, makes sense. But you see how you guys are all in three different spots. Like, dude, it can't be a one size fits all. So with that said, I want to kind of workshop this real quick. So I'm not just like talking at you guys. Like, I don't want this to be a thing of like, oh, cool. You said all this stuff. That sounds cool. Like, or I'll think about that later. Like, with that said, Dave, this would be good for you too. When's the last time you actually thought about your goals? Like, beyond the challenge, not beyond the 5 days. I know all you guys said, oh, I want to build habits. I want to like move closer to my goal. Let's think about that. Let's take like 3 minutes, maybe a minute for each question.
Every day.
What every day? What?
Every day I think about my goals.
Oh, there you go. Like, let's take 3 minutes, like, let's workshop this and you guys can come off mute and share in the chat. I'll just set a timer for 3 minutes. Like 3 questions I want you to answer for yourself. What are your goals for next quarter? It's like next 12 weeks, next 3 months, that kind of thing. Like, so that's a short-term goal because I think, yeah, we all want to live longer. We all want to, how can I say? Yeah, we all want to be around. We all want the longevity. We all want to see our grandkids graduate college and all that good stuff. But it's hard to be motivated that far out to do the work now. You know what I'm saying? So I think having a short-term goal, like a milestone, what's your 3 month goal? And then what's your next goal for the year? Or what's your goal for the next year? That's more long-term. So Dave, I think that'd be helpful for you because you're like, once I get to 30 pounds down, it's not going to take you a year to do that. Shouldn't at least. What do you want to do after that? And then the third thing is like what roadblocks can get in the way for you, mainly based off of, man, that was kind of my purpose with explaining this. Like maybe you noticed some of the things I talked about. Maybe there was a blind spot there you didn't realize you should expect. So I guess what could get in the way for you of getting to your goals, especially now that you guys have all had experience like going through this a few times. So I'll set the timer for 3 minutes. Let y'all. Here, I'll put it back on.
I'll give you mine.
Yeah. Oh, you ready?
I am.
All right, go ahead.
So, number one, what are your goals for the next quarter? Get my arms back bigger and lose the 30 pounds.
Yeah, that's easy enough.
That's attainable. My 1 year goal is to maintain and get my abs and that, that V cut right in the hips. You know what I'm saying? The one the ladies like.
That's what you talked about before we hopped on.
Yeah.
Or they hopped on.
Roadblocks, injury, busy work schedule. Those are really the only things so far that I can think that'd be a roadblock for me.
Mhm.
And really the busy schedule isn't too much because my job I can use as a gym,
Mhm.
Like I don't have to carry shingles up to the roof. I choose to carry shingles up to the roof. One, to be a good leader and help my team. But two, it's a free freaking workout.
Yeah. I
You know?
Yeah.
I look at everything that's more exciting than being in the gym, but also a good workout, So going up a ladder with, 2 bundles of shingles at 90 pounds each, 180 pounds going up the ladder that's a hell of a workout 5 times.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember, dude, I mean, yeah, we had you do workouts in the gym, but I remember that was kind of like, all right, I'm doing the diet and I'm kind of working out at work. So that's why you were losing weight,
Yeah. That and splitting wood. I like, I get those big ass oak logs, cutting that up, anything really outside. I love getting my steps in, going on nature hikes and shit, but anything that's not the gym, I find a way to still make it like a gym.
Mm-hmm. So just being resourceful. So I guess with that said, what would you say are the roadblocks? So you're saying like scheduling and the injuries?
Injury and being busy, but busy's really not because I don't my work is going to turn into more behind the computer and desk work
Yeah.
as I start filling my roles. But I really have all the freedom and the framework to continue being out in the field and doing all that too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the future holds for me being on every job site. I'm gonna try. I enjoy it. But if that's the case, like I said, I hit the gym at 4 a.m. every morning. That's the best way to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
except for Sundays.
Yeah, Lord's Day. Sabbath. No, okay. What? Yeah, so my 3 minute timer about to go off. Juan or Jason or both. Are you guys ready yet, or do y'all need another minute coming up with this stuff?
I'm good.
All right, Jason, what would you say? Quarterly goals, yearly goals, roadblocks.
Ooh, excuse me, heading on. So my quarterly goal is going to be building back up my energy because I haven't consistently been working out. I've been lower on energy, plus all these other things going on. Improving my flexibility one of the things I mentioned to you prior to joining was that I was trying to increase vitality and flexibility and everything. Um, right now I feel low energy and always tight. Um, so that's my 90 days. I plan to do mobility sessions about 10 to 15 minutes, give or take, if not even longer. Eventually I'm going to start doing yoga. But that I gotta build up to that because every time I try, I just stop after like a week. Um,
Why do you think that is? And maybe that's getting into number three for you. Like, why do you feel like you do the right
um,
things for a while and then kind of stop?
yes, it's because I'm not. It's the number two, right? So I'm not confident in what I'm doing. So then I'm not sure if I'm even doing the yoga positions correct because I just do it at home.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's hard for me to justify paying for like hot yoga and stuff like that. So I got some friends that are going to teach me some stuff, thankfully.
Okay.
So that should help that. Um, my 1 year goal, and this will be before 1 years, but or 1 year. I plan to drop from my current weight, which is I think now 255 to weigh myself later, to 230. I know weighing myself at night doesn't make much sense, but
Yeah, we
I
talked about that yesterday.
yeah,
Yeah.
I still do it anyways, but I know I don't really care. More so it's just yeah, yeah. Anywho, I want to get my body fat down to 12%, if not even lower.
Same, bro.
So that's the 1 year goal, and complete an endurance challenge. I'm not sure if that's going to be a marathon or a triathlon. Haven't figured that out yet. I
Mhm.
like to do dumb stuff. So, um, roadblocks are going to be my inconsistency in my routines, which stems from limited limited time frame because I want to spend time with my kid. So it means I have to wake up earlier, and that's gotten harder and harder when I don't sleep anymore. Um, So just with stressors in life, I tend to have low sleep right now. And with that, I have low motivation on tired days.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, with again, another roadblock is just that overwhelm I have right now with like a kid, working full-time HR, and trying to ramp up real estate, which I'm probably actually gonna stop and just stick with HR because it's just trying to put my eggs in two baskets at once isn't really
Yeah.
working for me right now. But yeah, those are my roadblocks. That's my
Yeah.
plan.
I get you, man. Yeah, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's like, all right, well, if I make the time for this, then I'm sleeping less. Or if I don't, if I sleep enough and I make time for this, then maybe I'm not spending as much time with my kid. Like, it's tough, but at least you're aware of like what could come up for you. So did you write all that down?
Yeah.
Or like, all right, I was about to say, if not, well, it's recorded anyways. We got the replay. Nah, appreciate the thought on that. What about you, Juan? Where we at with this stuff? Goals for the quarter, year, roadblocks.
Yeah, for me thinking for the quarter, is building that consistency and writing, like still using the app, still watching what I eat, still be consistent with my steps, right? Build that habit, right? That'll be the next 3 months. Again, this is all so like new to me in a sense of learning what to do. So the
Mhm.
next 3 months, the next quarter, I want to do that, build that consistency, that routine, if you will, so it can I can reach my goal, right? Um, and then my goal for a year is I need to build my endurance, right? I do have to, of course, like get in shape. I do have my son. He's on autism spectrum. He's an eloper. He runs. This guy runs so fast, and I'm not built for it to chase him. So
Wow.
it's building that. Within a year. My goal, of course, is to the 180 whatnot, but maybe um it's more be build that endurance with that I could catch up or keep up with him, right? He's 8 years old, and this guy runs. He runs so fast. Um, and so that'll be like my 1 year goal, if you will. Building that, and then I think the roadblocks would be timing, scheduling. I'm getting a new job right now. I'm going through a transition, not knowing how that's gonna play in the next year. Because it's gonna be a new company, whatever. My company got bought out, so
Wow.
I think I'd be a roadblock, not knowing, figuring out when I really could work out, or like figuring out my schedule, my day to day, where I'm gonna be at. Because the location's gonna change and everything. So I think that'll be a roadblock as far as finding the time and being consistent, finding that routine, I think.
Okay. So, so yeah, that makes sense. So just lack of routines with like the new job and just like the uncertainty there.
Yeah. The uncertainty there because now I already know like where I work at, right? I know I work on it's an hour drive to go to and from. So if I want to do anything additional, I already know where to go, right? Now with this new job, now that I'm doing this now, right? It's gonna turn over in October. But from October, I'm not sure where I'm gonna be at. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be at home or on site,
Yeah.
and then how to play that into my routine.
Mhm.
You know, like like if I wake up earlier or later, or whatnot. So I think right now it'll be my roadblock. I think it'll be like a temporary roadblock, I guess, until the end of the year till I find out where I'm at, and then from there, I guess just build my routine to
Yeah.
accommodate my work schedule.
Okay. So yeah, it's like tough to game plan for something you don't even know what's going to happen yet. Just that
Yeah,
uncertainty. Okay. So you wrote that down, right? So
yeah,
you're on that. Okay. Yeah, I'd keep that somewhere so you can like remind yourself. But no, I appreciate you guys with the shares there. And I know all three of you guys, I'd say all three of you guys have been the most consistent in the group in terms of just like, contributing to the community and the accountability. So yeah, now I put this out there yesterday and I'll say it again here. Like if you guys feel like you need help after the challenge, you want to keep this going long term, you feel like you're benefiting from the community, the structure, you'd like the guesswork taken out of it for you, you just want to get to that next level, just reach out to me privately and we can have a conversation to see what that would look like and just see if it's a good fit for you guys. The same goes if you're watching the replay. So the last thing I want to cover here is the three stages of a long-term transformation. So kind of similar to what I was saying earlier, things are going to change over time. And I think it's important to know this because, again, you want to know what to expect and understanding like nothing's wrong. You're just maybe in a different stage than you thought you were. And this process is going to take time. So, stage one is all about building habits. That's going to be doing something until you get it right. When you guys were tracking your food this week, maybe it was difficult to know what you were eating when you were out, or maybe you had never done this before. It's just like it's a difficult thing to do. It's tedious. You're messing around with the app and all that good stuff. But eventually you do it to a point where you don't forget to do it. You don't forget to take a picture of your food. You don't forget to like input your food into the app. That's doing something until you get it right. I know everyone says 21 days to make a habit. I don't necessarily believe in that because I've seen people fall off after that very easily. I'd say 3 to 6 months makes more sense for that. Yeah. Right. um, and this stage, it's very exciting. You're doing a brand new thing. Stage two is making it a lifestyle. This is what most people I talk to say they want. Like, all right, I've done the whole 30 pounds off, 40 pounds on, and yo-yo dieting kind of thing. I want to make this a lifestyle. I want this to be a sustainable thing. And I define if habits is doing something until you get it right, I define lifestyle as doing something until you can't get it wrong. So you don't track your food, you tracked your breakfast 300 times. There's no way you can mess it up at this point. You've looked at that plate of food when you go out to eat so many times, you couldn't mess it up if you wanted to. That's what I mean by doing something until you can't get it wrong. I think this can take up to a year. The goal here is to build routines. And at this point, maybe you feel bored. Maybe you feel like it's mundane, but it's what needs to be done to get to that next level. And then stage three is identity, making this part of your identity rather. And I define that as just doing something until it's a part of who you are. Like you go on vacation and you don't work out all week. It feels weird to not do that because you've been doing this so long. It's just a part of who you are. You're kind of itching for that structure. And that could take up to 3 years. So I've seen it take less for some people, but the goal here is to just create rituals, like things that are non-negotiable in your life. And to the point where things just become second nature here. So what's funny is like people advance through these stages and they think they need to shake things up. They think they need new things to do. They think they need to like make things new and exciting all the time. The only difference between these habits or these stages is how long you're doing the same things. You're still eating your meals, you're still tracking your food, you're still drinking water, you're still hitting your step count, you're still working out a few times a week or whatever the case may be. Sure, there's nuances that may change, but really the only thing that changes is how long you've been doing it. So I always think that's interesting. But to get to stage three, we got to go through 1 and 2 first. So with that said, like what takeaways and questions do we have before we wrap?
One of the things that helped me a lot is visualization. So I Googled, what does a pound of fat look like? What is the size of a pound of fat? That kind of gives you an idea of how much actually comes off of you. And then you figure out how many calories is in a pound of fat. And I can't remember what it was. I want to say it was close to 4,000 calories.
3,500. Yeah.
35, yeah, something like that. Yeah. Um, and then you figure out how do I create that deficit over a healthy amount of time so that I can lose that, 1 pound and then start doing the math on it. Figure out, all right, so 1 pound 3 days, 6 days should be 2 pounds, and so on. And then you can build yourself an actual realistic goal versus being like, oh, week one, I'm going to lose 25 pounds. And then it doesn't happen and you quit.
Yeah. So you're, I guess, going back to this, you're building the habits around reverse engineering the end goal. If I know
Yeah.
what I'm supposed to do, kind of reverse engineer it. I'm building the habits based on how I'm gonna lose 2 pounds a week. That means I have to do X, Y, Z to get there, and just keep building that up over time.
Yeah. And then that 2 pounds becomes your micro goal.
Yeah.
1 pound's a micro goal. Like, fuck yeah, I did it. And then at that point, you're one shit away from hitting your goal.
One shit.
Every day.
I appreciate the share. Yeah, it was kind of like what we talked about before these guys hopped on. Like,
Sorry, I like jokes.
the way to keep yourself excited is just kind of like chunking your goal down and just like focusing on the little milestones in between. Not always like the big, oh, I gotta lose 30 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever. What other takeaways do we have before we wrap? Or even questions, actually.
I say for me, I mean the takeaway. It's funny. Those stages, right? You said you had the stage 3, and then you had that cycle that goes right back again. And it's funny because I had my share of business adventures, and you get excited about something, and you go, and it's like it doesn't work. Oh, look at this one, and then you get that hype, whatever, you get that loop. But now, just finding it, just instead of relooping and on stage 3, continue to like depending if it's it continue to do it to hit to stage 4, right? Because once you go to stage 4 and then it's 5, then you're there. Versus, yeah, it's not working, or you're in the stage that you're the like it's like a D3, right? I think is it. I'm not sure, but that it is that you're working, but it's not. You're putting the work, but it's not showing anything, and you think it's not working for me. Let me try something else. No, just keep pushing, and then she can hit that stage 4. That's why my takeaway was from just don't give up on stage 3. There's two more.
Dude, I've definitely plateaued quite a few times. I wanted to just throw in the towel and eat a chocolate cake, like the whole one.
Yeah.
But then you reverse everything you did thus far. And that was a lot of work to get there, whether it's 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, shitload of work. And that one chocolate cake's going to ruin that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you don't have to undo all the work just because you messed up once. And it's like, I guess, Juan, to your point, it's like just because you're at stage 3 doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong and you need to pivot. It just means you are where you're supposed to be. And this is just, you're going to hit that. It's like, no matter what you do, you're going to hit that point. And it's like how you respond to it. And it's like, oh, if you keep going through that, you'll be on the other side. But, obviously it's got to make sense. But, yeah, more or less, I think it's going to happen no matter what method you try. So I appreciate that. Any questions on anything before we wrap? I'll give y'all like the action items.
So tomorrow our goal is drinking a gallon of water plus everything else that we're doing.
Yep, just stacking everything. So yeah, we already taking pictures of the food, already tracking your food, 8 to 10K steps, continue weighing in. Dave, you did that today, I saw. Jason, I got these guys weighing in first thing in the morning. I know you were talking about doing it at night. So just because it's going to be a consistent weigh-in, and we talked about that in the training yesterday. And then yeah, the only thing we haven't done is the gallon of water. Like I don't feel like we need a whole training for that. It's just, dude, just do it, that's the last habit. And these are like these habits that I've had, like Dave, this is all I really have you guys doing. It's nothing crazy or complicated or fancy. It's just like simple stuff, but we've got to do it consistently to get to that like identity phase. So yeah, that's pretty much it. No training tomorrow because I pretty much covered all the material. And like Friday night, I don't expect anyone to be hopping on. Guys might have plans, but we'll still run the challenge through tomorrow. Just making sure we're doing all these habits. And then before I wrap the Discord up, like just grab any resource you need. Those are all like all the trainings are saved as YouTube videos and things like that. So I left the link in there, bookmark it or whatever, or like it. And
I am curious how many people weighed themselves before starting this and where they're at.
yeah, I'm not sure. Probably should have had him do that on day one.
I'm
I
down
did.
4.
You're down 4 since the start, so you
Yeah.
have to do your 5 and 5. Yeah,
I'm
Jason.
already. Well, when I first applied, I weighed different than what I did, so that ended up dropping 5 pounds already. So
That's
I don't know
wild.
what I'd weigh come tomorrow morning. So
Yeah, maybe even more.
It's going to be 98 degrees tomorrow. I'm going to lose 5 pounds tomorrow alone.
Yeah, but that's crazy, man. Like, we're just doing simple stuff. And I guess even if stuff wasn't perfect, I know not everyone's been like hitting the gym or going crazy with that, but it's kind of like, all right, we're just somewhat aware of what we're doing and it's better than what we were doing. You're going to lose weight. You know what I mean? Like just building awareness and like stacking habits on top of that, man. So awesome job, guys. But yeah, like just grab any resource you guys need out the group, or if you need support, let me know. I'll drop the replay as soon as this uploads in case y'all want to like rewatch the beginning where we covered a couple things. But other than that, man, I'm gonna let y'all get to it. I'm gonna hold you guys, and just let me know if y'all need anything.
Sweet. Thanks, dude.
sounds
Yeah,
good.
fellas.
Appreciate you.
All right, no doubt.
All right.